right. Good evening, my beautiful crime family. And on this beautiful night, it is beautiful too. My boys are out there sawing up trees, and I can hear the chainsaws going, getting ready for the fourth. They come up here and they get everything ready for the big fourth. Anyway, we have a great lineup tonight, and I'm excited to have Typically Unique live in the house. But I want to say hi to my crime family first. Natural Healing, my girl, I love you. Moonflower Laza, I love you. Ro, good to see you. Greg, good to see you. Moonflower Laza, my girl, good to see you. Hope Floats, my girl, good to see you. Carrie T, good to see you. Thomas, my brother, good to see you. Kathleen, my girl, good to see you. Debbie Gazzardo, good to see you. And Nikki, good to see you. Hope Norris, good to see you. Lots of chatters. And Dana, good to see you. I don't know if LA, good to see you. I can't keep going. Anyway, yes, we have a couple of good. I ran across their channel, and it just it was awesome from the get-go, and I've been watching them ever since. So I'm really happy to have them on. So let's welcome Kim and Carlos from Typically Unique. Yeah, guys, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
We're good.
I'm all right. Yeah, I was just saying, I when I ran across your channel, and what I like about it is your videos are, you bounce off each other really well, and you keep interested, and it's hard to find a channel where you can watch like over an hour or whatever and keep interested. So yeah, that's a big thing to me. Yeah. So
well, thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what made you get into true crime?
It's a bit of a long story, but I'll kind of start, I guess. So Kim always had we both always had an interest in true crime. And then I would say a couple years ago, Kim really started telling me that she wanted us to do a podcast. And it was kind of a bucket list item. So a Christmas and a half ago, I bought Kim, or Santa bought Kim podcasting equipment.
Right? Okay. All the stuff.
Yeah, everything that I could think of, I bought, and she looked at it. She was like excited about it, but didn't touch it for 4 months.
Yeah, it took me 4 months to start.
Yeah, she didn't want like it was in, that dream thing that's in front of you, and like, okay, now I have to start doing it. She couldn't do it, for like 4 months. I'm like, what are we doing? So but when we first started, and one of the reasons we wanted to do podcasting, Kim's a teacher, and she has many stories, but really can't talk about that now because she's still employed. But but for us, we had a really big situation happen to us medically. We had a child with a lot of medical issues, so we wanted to kind of talk about that. It later morphed into some mental health concerns, especially with everything that happened. So
yeah,
sure.
So we have a child who had medical issues growing up, but then had a rare form of leukemia. So we ended up living in the hospital for a couple of years with his treatment for that. And I journaled the whole time. So I have this like huge documentation of what we went through. And it's a pretty rare story and interesting, I thought. And I thought we could help other people if we did a podcast. And our name, Typically Unique, comes from that. So we have a reason why we have that name. And
okay, I see. Right. Yeah.
It's because when we were in the hospital, the doctors would always say, they would either blow us off by saying, oh, that's typical, or they would be like, oh, well, that's unique. We never saw it before. But either way, we wouldn't get an answer. And that became like our inside joke. So if anybody ventures over to our channel, our first like 50 videos are that story. So if you really want to get to know us better, they are low.
Okay.
Because we're learning.
They are low quality videos, but the story is, the content's what's important. But then,
yeah, well, what we were trying to do with that, Tommy, it was our memoir, right? We had all these journal entries, had all these newspaper clips. Like our son actually survived 2 very rare diseases, and is in medical journals because of what had happened to him, and him surviving. So we had all this documentation. We wanted to do our memoir, our remembrance of that. During that time, it caused a lot of strain in our relationship. We're not too proud to say that we are currently in counseling and have been for many, many years, but we feel it strengthens our relationship. So we started talking about that. But to answer your question, the true drive has always been true crime. We've been following the Idaho 4 situation since the beginning. Kim has ventured to a lot of blogs and YouTube channels, but we didn't really get involved until one day we're sitting there and she's giving her point and I'm kind of giving her counterpoint, and we're going back and forth, and she's like, you know what, this might make a good podcast, because I don't kind of see, that on the show we're kind of
you bounce off each other. That's what I was saying. You bounce off each other really, really well, and it makes a good show.
It's scary that we're able to hold it together. Being a married couple and being frustrated with some of the things she's saying, and her being frustrated with some of the things I'm saying. But I think we've managed to find that very happy medium. And talk about things, in a kind of rational way to each other, and I think it kind of exudes itself to the audience. So,
and the show kind of helped do that too. Having the show together, and I bet it did. Yeah,
it gives us something to do together too.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's a good story. I love it. I totally love it. Now let's talk about the Kohlberger case a little bit.
Yes.
I want to hear. Now, okay, Carlos, you're one way a little bit, and she's like totally the other way, right? Is that it's kind of something like that, right?
Yes, that's the way it's been going so far. Yeah.
Right. So, but you listen, and you're kind of there too. What do you think of that, Tim?
Well,
do you think he's kind of there?
No, I'm actually glad you said that, because I think some of the things that I see when 2 people take 2 separate views on an issue, I see a lot of people digging their heels in, right? And not listening to the other side. And that's something that I think we committed to very early on, was if Kim's going to bring something to the table for me to hear, that I need to be open to that. And there has been, I've choked a few times, but there's been many occasions where I'm like, wow, that's a good point. I can see why the community is concerned about how this case is moving forward, or why this person's in custody, or why this person over here hasn't been looked at, or why isn't the defense turning over information, right? I'm not too strong-willed, in my opinion, to say, oh, well, you're just grasping at straws. Nor is Kim. Kim also understands, yes, that may be difficult to overcome because his DNA's on the sheet, or something. So we have both tried to find, here's where there's problems in this case. Here's where we want more information. But at the end of the day, I'm still a guilter and she's still a pro-burger.
I love it. But it's good that you guys, yeah, I really, I like the format. The format is really good on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's because of your personalities. It really is. It's because of
I
your
just told him about those words, pro burger and Gilter.
Yeah. And I'm still upset that my side has the bland name and her side has the really cool name with Pro Burger. Like,
right.
yeah.
Is that with onions and pickles and cheese? Or? So, what is it? You said you look at the case, like the faults, or what was the word you used here? You look at that. At how do you look at the case? You're looking at it. You can see the problems, right? You can see
Yes.
where there's problems with this case. What are those? What are the problems in your opinion?
Well, I'm going to turn that over to Kim because she has a myriad of them that I find myself in the podcast trying to say, I don't know if that's a problem or not, but she has some good ones. So
Right.
I'll turn that over to her. But yeah.
Okay.
I tell him all the time that when Brian's name first came out, nobody said, "Oh, it can't be him." That's not what the community did, right? Everybody dove into who is this guy? The problem came up when fishy things started happening, like, the changing the time. Oh, it happened from 3 to 4. No, now it's 4 to 5. And it was targeted, but we don't know if the house was targeted or who was targeted. And it's just been those kinds of things, one after another.
Yeah, the car was a 2011 to 2013.
The years.
You know,
then
it's 2015.
And you know what? The FBI has never changed that. Their expert they're not the ones that changed the year. It was LE that changed the year.
Oh.
The FBI expert never changed that year.
Interesting.
So,
and part of this evidence, or concerns that Kim was bringing up, I heard some of them I felt was a bit of a reach. Some of them I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I think what really solidified it for us and made us start doing the podcast was one of the hearings, probably 3 hearings ago. We watched it and I was like, wow, there's some inconsistencies there, and there's some concern. The one with Cy Ray, I think, was one of the ones where we really, especially when he came out and said exculpatory, that's a pretty strong word.
All of it. All of it. All of it was exculpatory.
Yeah. So it put me back on my heels a little bit, but I still think that what we're doing is we're starting to go through a lot of the things that we heard early on. Do they still hold water? Right? Are they still part of, it could be this, right? A lot about the frat boys, a lot about, band park or the band field. So there was a lot of things that were talked about early on that we're kind of looking at again and just saying, is that still on the table or has that been debunked in some way? And then we're kind of bringing it right up to current day with the hearings where we are at today. So it's been interesting. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. I'm one of those pro burgers. Pretty much. So it didn't start that way, of course. It was like they arrested this guy and it's him. It's him. Yep. Look at him. Look at him. Yep. Look at those eyes. It's him.
Right.
And but then, like you said, I mean, there was just too many inconsistencies and
unanswered questions and fishy situations and suspicious people and
and then I started digging, and I didn't have a channel yet either. And I mean, this case is what made me get a channel.
For sure.
So yeah, and I've been on it ever since. And yeah, there's just too many inconsistencies, and all they have is that little bit of DNA. That's all they have.
That seems to be the one thread that has been holding, I guess, me as the representative of the guilters.
Right.
The one thread that's been holding the together. And
right.
And you know, there could be, and there's probably, maybe for the Proberger side, there's probably some explanation, you know, and I'm very interested to see and hear what that explanation
what they say, that what the defense
say.
comes up with. Yeah, me too. I'm
Because
going to be really interested in
that little thread, you know, could flip a lot of people almost immediately, right? Because DNA has always, well, you know, in the past 20 years for sure, maybe 30, but DNA has been a very critical part of convictions for prosecutors. When you have somebody there, you know, the science doesn't lie, you know, and
here, but the crazy thing is now the science is changing a little bit. They're saying like touch DNA, that can pretty much come from any place. And
exactly.
So that's, to me, it's going to be an uphill battle for prosecution. I mean, that's the way it looks like to me, unless they get something more solid, because I think they're going to rip that DNA to shreds. You know,
I think that, Tommy, I think that has to be a given in this case, that they have to do something to explain the DNA. Beyond that, everything else seems very circumstantial. Like, okay, you know, a white car. I won't even call it a 2015 Elantra, but a white car happened to be in the area, right? Somebody with bushy eyebrows was identified. Well, there's millions,
and they don't.
And
they don't have no film.
Yeah, but those circumstantial, you know, pieces of evidence, I guess, kind of help tie it together with the DNA. You take the DNA out of the equation, bushy eyebrows, I would never, if I were a jury member, I would never convict anybody because somebody saw somebody had bushy eyebrows and there's a defendant with bushy eyebrows. I would not convict on that. I would also not convict on a white car because I'm driving a white car. You know, so.
But you would if there was DNA on and that's what I know where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
I just think that the defense can really tear that apart because of the touch. I really think they're going to tear that apart, and I think the prosecution knows that. But like Cyree said, who's going to be on this channel right here? I forgot to tell everybody. Cy and Carrie Ray are going to be right here on Once Upon a Crime Time on June 28th, next Friday, my birthday. Yes. Kathleen got me a birthday present. Thank you to my agent, Kathleen, on that one. So awesome. Anyway, now I forgot where we were.
That's a big announcement. No, I think, you know, one of the things that Kim and I have been able to do on our podcast, and, you know, we hope people, you know, check us out. And, you know, we love interacting with the community. I don't think there hasn't been a comment that we haven't read, you know, and tried to respond to
all of them.
Yeah. Yep. So,
well, sometimes when I think I've commented, I'll come across as ghosts live. don't. It's it.
Oh,
It's a long
okay. Yeah,
story.
I think I was chatting
Um,
with you.
sometimes it's Tommy Jude, and sometimes it's Ghost Live. And don't ask me why. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a page that I used to use for a band that was called and that was called Ghost. So that page was Ghost Lives, and
Oh, I'm glad you
that's
told
what
me.
comes up. Yeah, that's my personal account.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions because I want your ideas on like Dylan.
Okay.
I always let Kim start on these, so.
Hey,
So,
I can see it building already here. It's all
yeah,
right.
I think a little bead of sweat kind of formed here. But go ahead, you start with Dylan, and I'll pick
Well,
up from there.
what express? Just
What do you
anything?
think? What do you think?
Well, I mean, the whole 8 hours, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't know a lot about her personally. Like I haven't dove into her, but I just out of her or Bethany, I would think she's more suspicious, especially because they came out and said Bethany had exculpatory evidence. But
Right.
I know that Dylan's been associated with, like, maybe her boyfriend has been in some shady situations, or just, I don't know.
Right.
So, we've went back and forth on Dylan a little bit, and here's what I feel about Dylan. So, I believe if you take the PCA or the little bit of evidence that we heard about that night and how Dylan was involved in some way, she has to be traumatized. In some way, shape, or form, she has to be traumatized by this event. So, right. Especially when, that evening, if what is said is true, that she literally came face to face with somebody that ended up unaliving 4 of her friends, literally came face to them, had said at some point, allegedly, that, she was in fear and locked her door and laid down. And I'm not going to question anybody's reaction in those type of situations. When you lose a loved one or you're part of a traumatic event, we all act and react to those things differently. And I think it's easy to say, hey, after 8 hours, she finally called somebody. I look at it as she was traumatized. She went to bed, was scared, huddled in the corner under the blankets, fell asleep, woke up 8 hours later, figured out, hey, something is truly amiss here, called some friends, ultimately the police, and to me, I would never judge anybody's reaction because I couldn't fathom what that would be like. If someone came in my house and did something to my wife and my child, I can't tell you how I would react. I would do this. I would do this. I can't script that.
But you wouldn't go. You would. But would you go in a bedroom and lock the door and not call 911?
Probably not. No, me personally, no. I would be. Yeah. I would fight to the death, right? Because I'm a big guy, and I'm
looks like you can take. Looks like you can take care of yourself pretty good. Yeah.
Right. But if the roles were reversed, and a big guy came into our house, did something to me, and Kim had the fight or flight reflex, I would want her to run, hide behind a door, barricaded, and not try to take on somebody that's going to overpower her, and sit there until she feels that she's safe. Now, it would be different for me, and that's how I would want her to react. But knowing my wife, she would probably jump on them, bite them, gouge their eyes out until we're both laying dead on the floor. And I would like, get away. And she would probably do that.
And I think that when this was happening to these people, I think they were fighting like that. At least 2 of them were fighting just like that.
Right.
They had to have been.
Yeah. So I think initially we all probably felt the way you're describing, like those poor survivors, those victims, until we found out the first shocker was the 8 hours, right? Nobody can get over that 8-hour time period before calling. I personally feel like I don't believe what they put in the PCA. And I know it's hard to, for a long time, I think everybody in the community, I feel, has been very respectful about how they talk about those surviving roommates, right?
Right.
But the 8 hours, and I lost my train of thought.
Calling the frat guys or something, or calling the police right away. Was that an issue?
It'll come back to me.
Okay. We do this on the show a lot, but good editing kind of gets us.
Right. When you're live, there you are.
I was saying how I don't believe what's in the PCA because there's been just fishy thing after fishy thing coming out. I feel like she knew. I just feel like a lot of people knew what was happening. There's something corrupt going on. I keep waiting for a moment since the beginning. I kept saying, something's going to come out from the prosecution. I'm going to be like, shut down. Like, okay, they got the right guy. I'm convinced. That hasn't happened in a year and a half. And all this other suspicious stuff is happening. I just feel like she had to have known who was coming in the house.
Again, I'm of course on the other side of this, and I know, that may not be seriously popular here, but that's okay. What I'm thinking
is saying 8 hours.
No, you're allowed to have an opinion.
Okay, but but nobody. I mean, I think of when I was in college. This is the furthest thing I thought could happen, in my apartment at this time. Like, there's no way
change so much.
No, but there's no way to plan, and say, man, this is how I'm going to react, or, don't you know what's going on? Her initial statements were, I thought they were playing with the puppy. I heard that somebody was there, but I saw them leave. I didn't realize, it could be that she didn't even realize that people were killed.
So that's right. She knew. There's no way that happened in that house without that being heard. There's no way above you, the floor above you. Like, I will hear every little creak or sound. I can't imagine that.
Rory and I was on Rory's panel one time, and we just were discussing this last night. He was on last night. And oh man, I lost my chain of thought now.
I must be the common denominator.
What was Rory talking about?
Yeah, it was Rory's show, but what were we talking about? Yeah, I lost it.
Dylan, and
the crowd knows I do that once in a while.
Could you hear above you or something?
Could you hear when it was happening?
Oh, Rory and I was on his panel, yes, and he was running a video, and it was of inside, right, and it showed the victims, and they were going up the stairs, and it was dum. I mean, it was loud, everything in there, and it was very cheaply built, and I have a hard time wondering why Ann Taylor let that be tore down, because I think the sound was the biggest thing in that house.
That's a good question, because you would think the defense would want that to prove some other things, possibly, right? So to me, that's a bad sign that the defense let it go.
I question question that.
Yeah.
Now you got something coming out tomorrow, right? Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
finally got it all edited. I had a nightmare today with technology.
Yeah, we put together,
oh man.
Yeah,
I know how that is.
we put
Anyway,
together, I guess a couple excerpts from our show that might come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'd be happy to play a couple excerpts of that.
Yeah.
You know, it may not be new information, but it's looking at some old information, maybe through a different lens. And, you know, love to take questions from, you know, from the folks in the chat and yourself, if they have any questions about some of the things that we're talking about. But you may have to give Kim a few minutes to get things set up. But yeah, we could probably play that in about
a
couple
and
minutes.
this is typically unique is the name of the channel, and it's on the screen, and the mods have been posting it throughout the chat there. So,
all right.
Okay. So you just put it up here. You want me to play it?
Oh, you got it there? Okay.
Yep,
Oh,
I got it here now.
Go.
There we go.
A white sedan is seen leaving WSU at 2:47 a.m. the night of the crime. Did he turn left or right at Route 270? We have mapped out what the PCA says and show how plausible his alibi really could be. Why are the Floyd's Cannabis Shop, Red Star Coffee Company, and Monday's machine cameras so important to the defense? We think we know, and show it here in this episode. As always, everything we discuss is for entertainment and is speculation. Please like and subscribe, and definitely join our discussion in the comments. If you're ready, let's get into it.
I put it.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
There's a timestamp of
12:13. If you want to go to that clip.
slide to 12:13, and
is there more to that?
yeah, slide to 12.
Oh, was there? Oh, I'm sorry.
Typically unique.
Okay.
I'm Kim Aponte, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos.
Click on the wrong thing.
On today's episode, we are continuing.
What's that?
Can you go to 12 minutes and 13 seconds?
I can slide it back and forth. Where are we at? Let's see. This is how far it's letting me go.
Reading the PCA. This is part 2.
Yeah, that's as far. That's the sound.
Oh, wait, I got it. It's letting me control it.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
I got it.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
We had an interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations.
Can we back up for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's hypothesize for a second, because, I mean, we're throwing out some facts. And I think part of the reading of this PCA that kind of mirrors up to the last hearing that we saw, we thought maybe there were some inconsistencies, and we also thought that there could be some gotcha moments, but there's still some answered questions for me. So you and I, let's put our guessing hats on here. And so on November 29th, when they did the search of the vehicles in Washington, and Corporal Payne mentions that we had a chance to look up this Brian Koberger, who had a car that matched the suspect vehicle 1, right? And he noticed that, this person was 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, and had bushy eyebrows. Do you think that's an aha moment for him, or do you think they already had his name? Just you, Kim, not documents, or I'm going to find it in the PCA here, or what did people, tell me? Like you, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they already had his name.
And where did you think they got his name from?
From his involvement with the police.
Oh, okay. So Payne knew him previously because they were cohorting on something, right?
Or maybe not. Maybe they weren't working together, but he might have been.
So how did Payne get
Working.
his name? So who
Through colleagues, through.
Okay, so who are you hypothesizing that is bringing this name forward? Like, hey, Payne, check this guy out.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know.
Oh, darn it. Okay. All right. I was hoping we could narrow the, vast amount of alternative suspects down to somebody that may have had an issue or a beef or, bad police work, so bad police work in the past that, hey, I'm either going to get fired or I'm going to get put in prison or, something that, this guy's trying to direct this colleague who is, maybe hypothetically crooked as well, right? To, hey, do my bidding because I'm about to go upriver and would you want to come upriver with me? So
There is an officer.
Yeah, there we go.
And he might be a state police officer. I'm not sure,
So in a
but and I
different
don't want to
form.
say names, but it starts with a T.
Okay, good. That's fine.
If
So this officer T, I
Right.
couldn't get anything else out of her about Officer T. I wonder, Tommy, are you familiar with this Officer T? Is your community familiar with this Officer T?
Let me ask my family out here. Family, who's Officer T?
Anybody know who I'm talking about?
Anybody know Officer T? Twiz, who's Officer T? Testo?
Not Tesdo.
Tolinson.
Tolson.
Collinson. Okay.
Tolson.
All right.
It was the one I picked it up.
All right.
Yeah,
So Kim's hypothesis here is that
Uh-huh.
Payne was put in Koberger's direction, right? Given his name, look at this guy. This is the guy we want to make the patsy, right? For other things that are going on. And the person that is kind of moving this forward is this Officer Tolson.
I don't know if it's the driver of it, but whatever the shady stuff is going on, if there's cover-ups and things being hidden, I know that he's involved in some investigations with other counties and other investigations he's involved in. So wouldn't be far-fetched to think that he could do something like that in this case.
There's a few of them actually I could name that could be in that same boat. Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting to me, right? Because I'm kind of on, the other side of this. I've heard a lot about, kind of an LE conspiracy, including Moscow, but potentially Pullman, state police, potentially FBI. I mean, it could go, well beyond just kind of a local law enforcement. And I'm curious to that because, I wonder, sitting on this side of things, how many people are going to put their life, their career, their freedom, their reputation on the line for a colleague in a different, jurisdiction or different agency because they told me to. It's not a thin blue line then. That's a darkly painted, thick blue line if that exists. And I can't make that leap.
So I'm going to pull a Carlos on him because this is what he does to me all the time. He says,
Okay.
I have an answer for that. I have an answer for that. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Long Island serial killer case with Rex
A
Heuermann.
little bit. Yeah.
But before they were on to him, the investigator in that county where a lot of the victims were found, there was huge corruption in that department, and they actually blocked the FBI from getting involved. Those cops were very shady. There was a lot of witness intimidation going on, a lot of that in that department. So that's one example. It does happen. The Karen Reed trial is going on right now, and if you're watching that, you can see it really looks like a lot of, I mean, their video footage that they're showing in court has times missing, videos flipped and mirrored, and it just, they really do look like they're covering for each other. So to say it's not possible, I think it's very possible.
Yeah, so do I. And then just for like Ray coming into the picture, knowing, I mean, that pretty much tells me there's something wrong, because he doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Right. He doesn't do that unless there's really something wrong. And then he gets up there and says everything. I mean, everything, all of it is exculpatory. So I think Bill Thompson's gonna have his work cut out for him.
We got another clip that we want to show, and we're interested with your feedback and the community's feedback here. Kim's getting that locked up here.
There's another one back here. There's two of them back here.
She's got the one. She's got the main one here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
As soon as I get the right time.
Maybe get you close.
Okay.
December 27th, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from the Koberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing on December 28th. The Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. And so that's the suspect's biological father. Mm-hmm. And then based on all of this, he was requesting the arrest warrant be issued.
So just a couple things popped into mind on that last thing, because it does ultimately take us to present day. You know, there's an unknown entity going on, and then all of a sudden now we know, but or at least we have a name. Maybe we don't know, but we have a name. But they got the trash on the 27th, ran the DNA in Idaho on the 28th. What private airplane was jet or whatever was set up to go from Pennsylvania all the way to Idaho? And then what, technician was on the ready to receive this like a relay race baton to get it and run the DNA so quickly to get them, because they ended up arresting him the next day, right?
Yeah, I'm finding that page, so I can go back. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yep. The 27th.
And then the 28th.
They recovered the trash.
Yep. And then the 28th, boom, we got him.
No way.
They literally had a jet sitting in the backyard of this place. They literally ran that trash out, threw it on a jet. Some guy flew across.
But even if they did that,
3/4 of the way across the country, some technician was sitting there ready to receive this, and boom!
It was the best police work they've ever done.
Holy
they were so
schmoly.
efficient. They had everything lined up. But all seriousness, can you even develop a profile? Like, I'm thinking you have to put chemicals on it, and it needs to sit there for a little while, and then you have to. It has to go through a machine, 24 hours. And then I only know a little tiny bit about this to imagine it because of our medical history of things we went through, but I know it takes.
It doesn't take super long, but I think what takes a long time is there's a lot of DNA samples in the queue,
Well.
And that's what takes a long time. I think the actual test doesn't take weeks. It may only take, 10 hours to run the test, but
maybe,
what keeps everything backlogged. And I think still to this day, there are cold cases that have DNA samples, and people are like begging, hey, can you move this up? And they're like, oh, we just don't have the equipment or the people or,
Right.
to run them. So,
Or we have other priorities ahead
or
of
other
you.
yeah, exactly. And to that.
So, again, I hate making cases for Kim's side on this, but it seemed a little weird that this is something that got turned over and processed within 24 hours. Now, I make a case a little bit later on in our episode that they needed to get whoever they thought did this off the street, because that was a big issue when a suspect wasn't identified. But
Right.
But
And this is a show that's coming on tomorrow, right? This is bits, this is bits, people, of the show that's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're giving you the exclusive
Sneak
preview of a few things that we wanted to talk about on your show, and
Right.
And this was something that we thought was pretty amazing that they got this done. I think we still have the question, and again, maybe your audience knows the answer to this, but how long does it physically take once that technician received that sample from start to finish? How long does the DNA profile take to be rendered?
I would think more than the 24 hours that it took them.
And I thought it was like 10 or something, but these are purely speculation on our part, because they got it done so quickly.
But did he get, was it the 28th or the 30th that he got arrested?
I believe the 30th that he was arrested, right?
Yes.
And it was the 27th that they got the DNA. The 28th, they're claiming they got the profile of the father. And then I think
that's what's in the
yeah. And then from that, what they did was they said, okay, now we're going to write the arrest warrant, because for us, that's enough to go in and get him at the Pennsylvania home. So it probably took another day for them to write that, get the approval, the judge to sign it, and then set up the SWAT team or whatever, and then go in, do the plan and then go in and get him. But the way they made it sound in the PCA was, we literally turned this around across country, from one end of the country to the other, within 24 hours. And I'm just trying to find out if that's medically
if that's possible. Right.
Yeah. So if anybody in your chat knows the answer to that or has the medical background,
have you ever Googled it?
No,
not yet. I will.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
And then I think we have one more.
Yeah, this was the new thing that I wanted to show. Is that okay?
Yep.
Can we show one more thing? Okay.
Yep. You sure may.
270 split.
Oh, I was going to do this ending.
Oh, okay.
I see that Donald Sutherland passed away. Thomas has said on here.
Oh.
He played my dad. He played my dad in a movie. He played my dad in a movie called Aurora Borealis.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my dad died from Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and that's what he portrayed. My dad. It was about. It's been on like Lifetime about 3 times, 4 times, or something.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my nephew wrote it, and he's won 3 Emmys. He's a writer now for The Young and the Restless.
Oh wow!
He's won 3 Emmys there. Yeah, he's the one that wrote it. So, but yeah. Anyway, run that. I'm anxious to see. Now, this is clips of what's coming tomorrow on the channel, folks. All right.
Okay, so this is the Wawaway Park. So I just wanted to give an idea of that area. So his alibi, Brian Koberger's alibi, is this park. So if they're saying, the defense, that that's where he was, up at the top at the right is Brian Koberger's apartment, and then this is a route to the park. Okay, so I did that, and that says that is 29 minutes, I believe. Yeah, so about a half an hour. So if he has to be back in the neighborhood to commit this crime at 3:30
409, they have him walking in the house.
in the house, but he's seen on video cameras, like that gas station camera was definitely 3:45, I believe. I think there's one at 3:29.
Yeah.
So he's got to be back there at 3:30.
Right.
So we know he left his house at 2:47. He's on cameras. Well, supposedly the white sedan.
Boy,
I'm saying he stayed.
Wait. We can't say allegedly sometimes, and then we have him
Right.
the other times. You got to do it one way or
Because
the
I'm
other.
trying to make a point here.
Okay, go. Fair enough.
So the person
Yes.
driving this white car that is seen at 2:47 near his apartment building,
Right.
leaves there at 2:47, drives 30 minutes down to this park. So that's 3:20 a.m. that he would get there,
Approximately, yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if he just did this,
And if you remember, this was on the west left side of where Brian Koberger lived, and Moscow is on the far east right side
Yes.
of where he lived.
Yes.
At least the orientation, the way our maps are set.
yes.
Okay. So
So this is a 30-minute drive, and I think it was a 10-minute drive to Moscow.
So if I was a defense attorney, this would make, this would be like, well, how can he be there if my client is saying he was here?
Right. So to your point, maybe some of the white cars are not his, or, whatever other, they have different white cars on cameras. If he left this park and didn't stop, like he drove from his apartment, drove to this park, didn't stop, just drove through and then drove back around he could get there another half an hour, 40 minutes to walk in the house at 4:09.
4:09,
Like
yeah.
just right on time.
Right.
Okay, so I thought, okay, it's still, not probable, but, possible. So then I was curious and, okay. So what they mentioned in the hearing was Floyd's Cannabis Shop, Red Star Coffee Company, and Mundy's Machine. And that's a welding company. So those places, I was expecting them to be away from Moscow. I thought the defense was making, to me, she was implying at that hearing that if Brian, the night at 2:47, when he leaves his apartment, he pulls up to that crossroads on 270. And if he goes right, he's going towards the park. And if he goes left, he's going towards Moscow. And I thought they were going to try to prove he went right. And that these businesses would be towards the right. But they're not. They're to the left. So today, while I'm doing this, I'm like, wait, what?
So let's just clarify your orientation, because you're looking at it from the person sitting in the white car and they come up to this 270 road.
Yes.
And if they go right, but right as you're looking on the map is taking us to Moscow. So,
Sorry.
So just to change, but I know
Yes.
what you're saying,
Yes.
but to change the orientation, actually, when
How we
Brian
dance.
came to that decision, it would have him been taking, a right on a road
Right.
that would actually be heading left on this map.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're
Okay.
looking at your screen right now,
Yes.
the blue line is to the right of you looking at it, and that's towards Moscow is the main point that you
Yes.
need to know. So I was surprised by that. Okay. So then because to me it makes sense, like he's going to get something at the cannabis shop, he's getting some coffee, and then he's going to the park.
I don't think he's stopping in any of those places.
Maybe not, maybe it's
Yeah.
just on camera.
Yeah, I think they're trying to
Those are the cameras.
verify or unverify
Right.
that
Not
he
that
went past
time of the
there.
morning.
Right.
No.
And I think they're hoping that, hey, did you get this? Well, we didn't see anything. Well, not seeing anything proves our defense case. You seeing something helps prove the prosecution's case. So I want this information so I can prove, hey, you're saying this car is showing up on this path of travel. That car never showed up in front of those three businesses who have the best video I have ever seen in the state of Idaho. Those three businesses have the best one, and that car is nowhere in that area.
Oh, that could be.
Well, I hate making your points for you, but there you go. There's another one for
That
you.
could be. That could be. But my mind went a different way.
Okay.
So here's where my mind went.
Now I'm curious.
Because I'm thinking he did stop at those places.
Oh.
So then I thought, well, okay,
I'll show the chart.
what if he just continues on? He stops at Floyd's, he stops at the coffee shop, and then just goes to the park. Like, I never heard anybody talk about that or see. So that's what this would look like. So he leaves and goes this way. Like,
Really
a lot of people talked about he liked to drive around at night. Because that was his first part of his alibi. I was driving late at night. Then it was to the park, right? More specific. And a lot of people have said, well, I drive at night, and he's taken it. That's a pretty rural route right there.
Okay.
So, couple
That's
things.
good.
Couple things on this that I think we're going back and forth on, and maybe want some of your feedback on. So, what Kim's
I
depicting.
think I know what this is. I
Okay.
think, see, because I've been saying this for a while. And, it comes to an intersection. If he takes a right, he goes to Moscow. And if he takes a left, he goes to the park.
Yep.
And that's the film that they're just don't happen to have.
Right.
Is
And
that you're thinking on this?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but when I typed in those addresses, they're not, those businesses are not towards the park. They are on the outskirts of the neighborhood.
Right. So the defense wants to show that car never goes by there.
Okay, so you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what they're after. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They want to show that car did not take that right.
Okay.
So that's the last thing, right? We can
Yeah.
take that down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We can stop sharing.
Yeah. So a couple things with this, and we do have another map here that Kim put together that shows the car at the right and left turning point. If I took a right, I'd be heading to the park. If I took a left, I'd be heading to the murder scene. So we do talk about that in the episode as well. But I guess what we're asking here, and you kind of answered it, Tommy, was our debate was, I don't think that he stopped there. And I think what the defense was asking, because they were asking for this information, right? And I think that they're asking for this information because it wasn't provided, number one, right? Of course.
Right.
And the reason it wasn't provided, because his car's not showing up there. And if his car doesn't show up there, especially on a main road, highly lit, great cameras, boy, we don't have much of a prosecution case if that car that we see.
And that just happens to be missing.
Yeah.
Surprising.
And those
Just happens.
Yeah.
Just happens out of nowhere.
Yeah, and those aren't going to be Ring cameras. Those are going to be 24/7, always on, good cameras.
You know how this is going to look? You know how this is going to look to the jury?
Right. Yep.
So I think Kim was hypothesizing here a little bit that she was, that he was driving through that area that ultimately made it through to the park. And I think that, yes, at some point he's probably going somewhere, either guilty or innocent, either to dispose of things or, hey, I was just on my nightly drive, probably ended up there, and I think that's what Kim's kind of hypothesizing here, that, hey, I didn't stop and kill anybody. I just was on my nightly drive and this is where I go. But I kind of felt, that I think the defense is asking for this information specifically, not to put him in the area, but to say that he wasn't in the area.
The defense is trying to do that.
Yeah, right. The defense is trying to say he was nowhere near these places.
But if he's at that Route
Yeah,
270,
that's why they want that. That's why they want that film. That's why, yeah, and that's why the prosecution it's not there.
Right. Right.
You know, it's not. It's like, what the hell? Come on. And that's because it's going to show that he never went that way.
don't you want to, if you were the defendant, wouldn't you want video footage that does show where you were?
It can be either or. If they're saying that he took a right, you know, to go into Moscow, and if you can prove that he didn't go that way,
Right.
that
Yeah.
proves that proves that he didn't even go to Moscow. And that's what the defense is saying, is he was 25 miles away. He wasn't even close to that place.
I'm just wondering
And I
if there's,
think, you know, Cyray's going to prove it
yeah.
if they don't give him any more information. With the information he's got right now, he's going to prove that.
Oh, well, let me, can I ask a question about that? Because we go back and forth on that as well. So, and if you want to take down the, you know, put us back full screen, we're done with the videos.
Oh yeah.
Of the clip.
Right.
So, my question has been with Cyray, and maybe you can, I don't think you can have a conversation with him about it, but maybe in a roundabout way, you know, use your magic. But what I'm hearing is, based on the AT&T data that they received, both the prosecution and the defense, I believe, have both received that data. And that data says during a certain amount of hours or minutes, the phone was either shut off in airplane mode or did not get reception, right? That there's a big chunk of time. So the only thing that got me on Cyray's testimony was, I have exculpatory evidence. If the phone shut off, how do you know where the phone is?
Well, I gotta tell you this. Rory's out there, and he has a show, and he went to the park at the gate. No reception, none, zero reception.
I saw when he did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, if it's shut, so I'm not saying he wasn't at the park. You know, I'm saying his phone was off for a period of time. You can't locate the phone. There's nothing that Cyray is going to pull from the, you know, cellular verse.
I'm not sure about
information. What's that?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that.
I would like to know that.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah, that's. I think that's another big part for the.
I know that there's something there to even when they're off that you can get tracked, like because of like if you're missing or something, the FBI, they go in there and they track the phone, they ping the phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think there might be something like that. That's something that maybe somebody out there knows. Because I can't say for sure or not, but I wouldn't be able to ask. I can't ask anything about the case or anything like that. We won't be talking. We won't be talking Koberger.
Fair enough.
I want to get to know them as a couple and hear some funny stories and stuff. And
he's such a great storyteller.
Oh yeah. That's another channel that when I watch a show, I watch the whole thing.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller.
Right. So, but and these are coming out tomorrow now, or this is coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
What are you premiering it, or is it? Are you just uploading it, or?
Yeah, it'll just be our next episode on our YouTube channel. Yep.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
And this is episode 8 on the Koberger case?
This is episode 9 on the Koberger case. And we upload our videos also to Spotify. If anybody listens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, a couple of different platforms, and yeah, well, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how this case is going to end up. It's one of the craziest I've ever. It is the craziest I've ever seen.
It is truly.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on what happens if they go to trial right now?
I think the prosecution's in a hot mess if they went to trial right now.
I think if a jury was sat and they said, this is what we have against this defendant, and the defense comes up, if they can't blow holes into the DNA, and a few other circumstantial things like a white car being in there, the semi-identification of eyebrows, suspicious activity, he wasn't in his apartment, just think about how many people were asleep at that time. And this guy whose DNA happened to show up at the crime scene just so happened to be going out at night. He has to be the most unluckiest person in the world to also drive a white car and have bushy eyebrows. That I think the jury is going to be like, man, you really got to give me something to take me off this. You're going to have to pull me off this, because
you could be right there. You could be right there. You could be right there. But I do think that the DNA, the touch DNA, can be pretty shot down. I think pretty easily. I think that's my opinion.
Plus,
because it's transfer. If you look it up, it's actually transfer DNA, which means, I could shake your hand and you could shake her hand, and she
and your
touches
DNA
something.
shows up on her.
Right. And
yeah,
so
they're gonna shoot that apart, tear that apart. Also, we would get to hear the 911 call. So we would get to paint that whole scenario picture, and who all was called over to the house, and why were they called over there, and why did it take so long to call, and is there any connection? No, they're
okay. Let me ask you about this then. Let me hear your opinion on the frat Sigma Chi. Let me hear your thoughts.
I gave that a lot of credence, actually. Although I don't know the specifics of the altercation that happened over there prior, earlier that evening. I've heard different kind of stories about it. I don't know if there was a verbal altercation or some physical altercation. In today's day and age, and you kind of brought this up, sometimes a punch hurts less than I was disrespected, right? And if someone's disrespected, they almost want greater revenge than if they took one to the chin, So
I understand that.
Yeah, I could see there being some credence to that, alternate theory, but there's just not enough to say, hey, it was potentially the guy who was getting made fun of at the frat party, right? Didn't fit the description, the vehicle, his vehicle, whether he walked over or, it had a vehicle, wasn't shown anywhere that we've seen publicly. And there's nothing left at the place. I can give Koberger.
No, that's looking at it with the Dylan. Dylan, what she said in PCA is true.
Right.
Okay.
And I can give Koberger the benefit of the doubt that there was no evidence at the crime scene. Like, I think a lot of people say, just this little touch DNA, who would have been less sloppy in that scenario? Koberger, who studies this, and maybe can get around all this stuff, or some
I have thought of that,
or some frat boy who was on steroids that got made fun of, and is going there for vengeance, would have been a lot less, careful about what was
Right.
left at the crime scene. So that's where I have a hard time, not to say that it couldn't happen, but that's where I have a hard time as a jury member saying, boy, it's going to take a lot to prove that, where you got a lot of proof here that you're going to have to get me off of.
Right. So there could be there's going to be some fighting with the prosecution. I mean, the prosecution isn't just going to roll over. They're going to they're going to come out. They're going to come out with what they can come out with. But when you have this all this film, but you can't say it's his car, I think that's going to hurt. I think that's going to hurt pretty badly. And I don't know, man. It's gonna be very interesting if it goes. If it, do you believe that it's going to go to trial?
I do.
I'm waiting to see what you and Rory are coming out with.
What's the big announcement? Drop it here tonight.
That's coming. That's coming.
Okay.
It's being worked on. It's being worked on. Yeah, this will be an interesting week coming up here. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's some big revelation that comes out, they're keeping everything. So, I mean, all the key players have lawyered up and won't come back to the state, and no one's talking. And so, unless there's a break, it'll probably continue on the path.
Right. Yeah. It's.
I think you mentioned in your show yesterday or the day before that, or Rory even mentioned that he thought it would be not this next summer, but the summer after, which I thought was, wow, that's crazy. And Kim and Kim and I had this debate, and I'm curious what you think about this. We always said, because we watch a lot of true crime shows, and we say, if I was in that position, I would do this, right? So if we ever got falsely arrested, and they were doing the perp walk with us, right? Kim has said over and over again that she would be screaming.
I would be screaming
at the top of her lungs.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do this. I'm innocent. Somebody come and help me. Let's find. Like she would be, every opportunity she had, she would be screaming that at the top of her lungs. That's how she would react to it. I keep saying with Koberger, who had the opportunity to get a speedy trial, I'm like, why is this guy quietly, willingly, willing to sit in jail for up to 4 years before he gets his day in court? Like, I would be screaming every day, I didn't do this. You got the wrong guy. Figure this out. Look over here, because I am sitting in jail. My life has been stopped for 2 years now. It's going to be another 2 years. This is an injustice. What is going on with our city?
He knows my answer.
I would be
okay. What's your ideas on there's other investigations going on, and he's part of it.
That's what I think. I think he knows to keep his mouth shut because he knows that there's threats, there's information that's going to come out, and he can't risk saying anything that would jeopardize. That's what I think.
So he doesn't want to jeopardize getting killed, but I'd rather get convicted and killed by the state. No,
he doesn't want probably someone in the prison to take care of him,
But I'm willing to die. I'm willing to die 2 years later. Just give me 2 more years to live in prison.
No, I think he knows that the right information is going to come out. Like his defense is going to be proven, but there's shady people controlling the information that he needs to prove it.
Right.
They have to get through all that. That's what I think.
Yeah. I don't, I don't see how they're going to win this case. And are they really going to, but the thing is, they've spent so much money on this case. They're almost being forced to go that route.
Yeah, and I have to say, and I have to say about this too, that I hope they find the person who did this. Right at the end of the day.
Me too. Oh yeah. At the end of the day, yep. If it's Kohlberger or not, yep.
Right. I want the right person convicted for this, so I'm on that side as well. And I'm willing. That's why I think this podcast is working for us, because I'm willing to hear all these other theories, because if not Kohlberger, then who, which is, the big question for the past year, right? If not him, then who? I want to put a little bit more evidence on something else. And the one thing that keeps bubbling up more than the frat boys or the DoorDash driver or the private driver or the hoodie guy or, anything like that, I think is more of a law enforcement conspiracy related to some type of narcotics. And I don't know what that narcotics is, but I think there is some. Right. And I think if there was a secondary suspect, right, that's where I would be looking. That's why I pressed Kim on the Officer T thing. And that's why we brought it up here, because that's one that I can kind of get behind in parallel to say, this holds a lot of weight. As a guilter, I'm willing to turn my eye a little bit to this, because I think there's some, there's a lot of smoke there. I haven't seen fires yet, but I've seen a lot of smoke. And some of these other ones, a lot less smoke, maybe a match worth, but you definitely could do some Indian signals with this law enforcement conspiracy. I can get behind some of that. It's still a second to.
Well, it's because it's happening so much at a higher rate, I think, than it used to.
Sure.
That, or they're getting caught easier because of technology and
and social media.
And
Yep.
I do believe there has to be some kind of something has to be done there, because it is getting kind of a little ridiculous across the whole country. Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. Yep. Oh, is 2 Killer Crime in here? Hi, 2 Killer Crime. Yeah. So anyway, so their page is typically unique, and they you guys got to check them out and make sure that you sub up to them. And they're very nice to watch. I've been watching them now for, I don't know, it's over a month, I know. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Come on over, and I will definitely chat with you in our comments.
Yep. Yeah, we really love the feedback, whether it's real time or in the chat. We try to make our next shows, about a lot of the energy. I think this law enforcement thing that we're talking about now, I think is a good topic for us maybe to dive into on our next episode. We just finished.
It is a very intriguing one, because some of them are so sus. They are. And it's just like, man, I don't know about this dude, Well, how did he become a cop?
And Tommy, this is, I don't know if people have told you this in the past, but the things that this community is doing and what you are doing is exactly what Kim was talking about. And one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast is, this internet community, this social media community are holding people accountable, right? And, if law enforcement is not doing their job, or being sus, as you would say, it's people like you that host these events and talk about it freely that make us common citizens hold either the people in office or the people somewhat representing us through
people with
power, holding them accountable, because it's hard to police the police. It's hard to, the people who are the court system who is judging us, it's hard for them to be judged, right? Is the prosecution being on the up and up? And, they can skirt the court system and do all this, throw paperwork at them and delay this and have this poor guy sit in jail for 2 more years because they're delaying things. Or people like you can get folks saying, hey, this isn't right. Turn over what needs to be turned over, right? Let's get this moving. Let's prove this guy innocent or guilty. Let's give some closure to the families and let's move on.
That's what the judge should do.
And to me, these hearings and with Payne testifying and that Mowry and everything, to me, it just showed that it's corrupt. And that's what it looks like to me. When there's just too much, and I've said this now. I've said this now on my last couple of shows. I've said I kind of went off. I'm sure you guys know that I get pretty hyped up sometimes, and I had gone off saying there's no way possible that this happened without Ellie's fingerprints on it. And the more I dig, the more I think there's no way this could happen without Ellie involvement.
I just hope they can prove it.
Yeah. And again, if the most smoke I have seen in this case to an alternate suspect or an alternate theory has been that, I think there's been compelling evidence, the Uber driver and the private driver and the hoodie guy and all the, there's been compelling things all around, the frat boys and all that stuff. But this one seems to really have some legs and is something I want to dive into a little bit more, because if not Brian Koberger, I want somebody to be held accountable.
Here's and we've been talking a lot about this lately, and to me it's been a big thing all the time, is the motive. There just is no motive, none. I mean, he's already been proven to be hanging around girls, and he's, every little thing. There's just no motive, and that's what drives me crazy. And then you got an ex who lives 30 seconds away that she just left 3 weeks beforehand, and he was at the corner club, and then supposedly an hour and 20 minutes later he's sleeping and won't answer the phone.
Yeah, it doesn't answer the phone. Yeah.
And then she ends up being the worst one, the one that suffered the most.
Yeah.
And and very personal. And yet, let's clear him. It blows me away. It's like, and his alibi is he was sleeping, and Adam is his roommate. That's his alibi. Is Adam.
Is that the bartender, Adam?
Yeah. Yes.
That is him. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Adam Laden. Yeah. Okay. And so they're roommates. They're each other's alibis.
Some smoke there.
Yeah.
I think all of it can be true. I think that it can be a bigger ring type corruption. And who are you going to put up to do the deed? Who are you going to find to do your dirty work? The kids that are close to them, that are angry, that might already have a reason or whatever. I don't know. I think that makes sense.
Well, because you have the theory that they are informants in some way, and
something like that.
But it gives them the connection to law enforcement as well.
Yes. Yeah. I think all of that can be true.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah. A lot of things about this case, I can't believe it's gone on this long, to tell you the truth. If there is involvement like that and there's deception, that's going to be really disgusting to me.
Yeah.
It's going to be really disgusting to me. Yeah. Well, geez, I'm really happy that you guys came on, and again,
thank you for having us. This was great.
Yeah, typically unique. Look it up and subscribe. and enjoy the shows because they're always good.
Well,
And,
thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate you.
It was great talking to you.
And we like what you do, so keep doing it. So,
right.
Love your show.
Kim and Carlos, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, there it is. What a beautiful couple, man. I love watching their shows. So yeah, you make sure that you subscribe to them. And again, I have to let you all know that Cy and Carrie Ray will be here, right here on Once Upon a Crime Time, a week from tonight, on my birthday. So that was a big birthday present from Kathleen and the mods, and I appreciate it very, very much. Kathleen got it together, and yeah. I got the best mods in the business, bar none. Anyway, I want to thank you all for being here, and I love you all very much. And I got to say that the subs are my heart and the mods are the soul. Until next time, rock and roll!
the new stuff. This is the new stuff. I go dancing in. We go dancing in. Won't you show for me? Show for me. I will show for you. Show for you. Won't you show for me? Show for me. I will show for you. Yeah. Won't you show for me? Yeah. I'm gonna be that power. I'm gonna be that rhythm. Yeah. Show for me. Sha la 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 la. Oh, staring at the mirror when I'm straight down. Staring at this yellow-haired girl. Mr. Jones strikes up a conversation with a black hair. The man cold dance, you know she dances while his father plays guitar. She's suddenly beautiful, and we all want something beautiful. Man, I wish I was beautiful. So come dance the silence down through the morning. Sha la 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 la, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cut up, Maria. Show me some Spanish dancing. Pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. Believe in me. Help me believe in anything. 'Cause I wanted someone who believes. Yeah. Mr. Jones and me tell each other fairy tales and stare at the beautiful women. She's looking at you. Oh no, no, she's looking at me, smiling in the bright light, coming through in stereo. When everybody loves you, you can never be lonely. Well, I'm gonna paint my picture, paint myself in blue and black and gray. All of the beautiful colors are very, very meaningful. Yeah, well, you know gray's my favorite color. I felt so symbolic yesterday. If I knew Picasso, I would buy myself a gray guitar and play. Mr. Jones and me look into the future. Yeah, we stare at the beautiful women. She's looking at you. I don't think so. She's looking at me, standing in the spotlight. Bought myself a gray guitar and everybody loves me. I will never be lonely. I will never be lonely. Said I'm never gonna be lonely. I wanna be alive. Everybody wanna pass us cats. We wanna be big, big stars. Yeah, but we got different reasons for that. Believe in me, 'cause I don't